It was all a scam. We installed all the equipment and never got a dime. So now we're talking a fairly small company, 76 to 81.
Your company?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how big was this?
About a $280,000 expense with no revenue. Boom.
Whoa. Hey everybody, it's Charlie Epstein and welcome to Business in Booths at the wonderful Center Square Grill in booming downtown East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Hey everybody, it's Charlie Epstein here at Business in Booths at Center Grill, and I'm here with my dear friend John Maybury of Maybury Associates, and we're talking submarines, we're talking forklifts,
Of course.
we're talking father-son adventures, and let's just dive right in. Okay, submarines.
Yeah.
So when did you get involved in the Coast Guard? I mean, how'd that all come about?
Well, I probably got my Coast Guard license when I was teens or 20, but had a boat since I was 15, 16 years old.
Did you and your father go out and...
Actually, my parents did have a boat when I was even younger, probably 8, and we used to water ski down on Crystal Lake in Connecticut. My father used to put me on his shoulders and had a cigar and sunglasses, and I'd be on his shoulders. Yeah. The joke is, one time we fell. He was more worried about me. He lost his cigar and his sunglasses. So
I thought you were going to say he was more worried about the cigar.
No. Well, he was worried about the sunglasses because they were prescription, and it was the only ones he had. But
and how old were you then?
Probably 6 on his shoulders, 5 maybe.
So where'd you grow up?
East Longmeadow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Born and bred.
Born and bred. Came back
back
to East Longmeadow. Have never lived more than 1 mile from where I originally came home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a home study.
Yeah,
but did you go off to school or
nope,
the Coast Guard?
Western New England College.
Western New England College.
So, yep.
Nice.
Lived at home, worked, stayed in East Longmeadow. So, Redden Drive to Prospect Street.
Love it.
A little bit of a short stint on North Main Street, but that's about it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, so back to the boats.
Yeah.
You know, you're boating with Dad, and then how'd you get the bug? What was the kind of the bug about the Coast Guard?
Always just liked having boats and water skiing, and so to do it right, you're supposed to have a Coast Guard license. Now you absolutely have to have one, a boating license.
Okay.
So that you take a course and you actually get certified in order, to know what you're supposed to do, pay attention, etc.
Yeah.
But now I've amped it up one more because I've got my son involved, both sons actually, but my son that works with us. Yeah, Will, that works with us.
Yeah.
We're actually going tonight to hopefully pass our proctor exam to get our captain's license.
So you guys will be Coast Guard captains?
Yeah, we'll actually be certified U.S. Coast Guard captains available, to take people for hire. I mean, think of a ferry boat. In order to do that, you need a captain's license.
Right. So if this whole Maybury thing goes under, you and Will be running the East Longmeadow Ferry Service on... Do we have any water here?
No, I think I've realized boats are a hole in the water that you put money into, so I doubt that I'd be able to run it well enough to grab the return from it. But yeah, having some fun with it, and always have.
So boats really interest you growing up. What else? Because you're really hands-on, right?
Yeah,
you earlier we were talking about, I know what a toolbox is. I don't want to use one.
Yeah.
I think you own a dozen toolboxes.
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
So probably, I would say 12 years old on a 3-horsepower mini bike, 15 years old on OSA, Kawasaki, Boltaco motorcycles, then progressed to, I probably had 20 cars by the time I was 20, whether it was a Triumph or a Volkswagen or a Chevy. I wish I had some of the Chevys.
And you were working on them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Take them apart, put them together.
Self-taught?
Usually everything went back together, but the extra bolts we just...
were you one of these self-taught guys that went manual, screw that, don't need it?
Probably a little bit, but I also had friends that, we did it together.
Right.
So if I didn't know something, I'd say, hey, what do you know about this? Obviously, we weren't texting, we weren't Googling, we couldn't look anything up. We had to kind of do it just there's no manuals to go online. It's a whole different world today from back then. So really learned how everything kind of works.
Yeah, it's not Google this and bring somebody in.
So I was mechanical from day one, interested in mechanics and mechanical from day one.
Right. Wood
shop, metal shop, mechanical drafting, all the, industrial arts through the whole school program.
Wow. So you're doing that. Yeah. Now, Maybury, tell us the history of Maybury Associates, how that kind of came about.
So my father was in a business similar about 7 years before we started the business in 76. He went on to become a consultant and was traveling the country for like the 7 years prior. So he was setting up paper mills, warehouses, things like that as a consultant all across the country. I was attending Western New England. I was doing the plants and bushes and watering at SIS Bank, and I was stocking shelves at Big Y at night. I think for $1.10 an hour or something.
Right. Minimum wage.
Yeah.
Real minimum wage.
And so I was on a clock at SIS, I was on a clock at Big Y, and I was on a clock at Western New England. Obviously, juggling all that time was pretty interesting. And so one night at supper conversation, it was like, Dad, so how hard is it to sell the stuff you used to sell, like shelving and benches and stools and things like that? He says, well, it wasn't impossible. He says, but, I don't know, you're a little young, and, we kind of had a business behind us. I said, yeah, but if I could go into Smith & Wesson, Moore-Drop Forge, American Bosch, I'm throwing some names out that don't exist. It's now the medical center for Bay State, but,
right.
American Bosch, Moore-Drop
was down
Forge,
in the North End.
Yeah, American Saw. If I was able to go...
My wife's father worked for
American Bosch, yeah. So if I was able to go in and sell some of this, what do you think? He goes, well, you could give it a try. So we picked up a line.
How old were you at the time?
18.
Okay.
18, first year of college.
Yeah.
18 years old, and it took off.
Really?
American Bosch probably had 1,000 benches because all the fuel injectors went from one bench to the next bench to the next bench to get everything done. Smith & Wesson had...
Okay, but wait a minute. So you're an 18-year-old snot-nosed kid going to Western New England.
In a 66 Chevelle.
In a 66 Chevelle, right?
Driving up to the purchasing agent.
Right. And they could get benches from anyone.
They could, except here's the part that I don't like to happen to me right now.
Yeah.
I went in with a catalog, no internet, no online.
Yeah.
Catalog had all the information, specifications, and then it had the prices. And I would go, here's what I have, here's my net price. I'm in college, I just need to make a couple bucks, so I'm pretty sure I could beat your existing price. Can I sell you some benches and stools? Most of them, Rod Riker, Bob Morehart, Technic Products, they were all at those companies, took me in like a grandson. And they were like, no kidding. You can order this stuff for us and we only have to pay that? I said, yeah, that's...
And there were no big warehouses. There were no big... Right.
No overhead.
Yeah,
it was me.
You were it.
My mother and a typewriter. Yeah, my mother and a typewriter, and send off the order. And 3 days later, they'd confirm it. And 5 days later, they'd ship it. And no instant fax, no email.
So you hired mom.
Yep.
You hired
and then
dad.
It started going, so dad came back. Took a leave of absence from his consulting.
I always thought it was the other way around, that dad started.
I mean, we were a team in the beginning because obviously
he's out.
When I went to Shawmut Bank to try and get a loan, dad had to sign it. I mean, I didn't have anything built up. So it became a team, but in the beginning it was actually, hey, this could go somewhere. And then my dad, he was traveling mostly to Boston. Yeah. So it was a way for him to come back. Started the company, and the rest is like serious.
So where'd you guys start? Did you
215 Prospect Street in the basement of our house.
Yeah.
Then we went to Panama Avenue off North Main Street in East Longmeadow. Down the end, we shared 1,000 square feet. Mm-hmm. Then we went to 203 Shaker Road, which is where Country Glass is. And we were behind Country Glass. And then we were across the street at Country Glass and You Hear It Sound or whatever's in the building right across the street. Yeah. Then we ran out of space, so we rented some space from McGill Hose. And then we decided this isn't working with all these different buildings, patching it together. So we hired Chapdelaine and built a building, bought it from Whetstone, the tobacco company, and built a building, our original building, right next to the rail trail on Denslow Road.
Yeah. And that was what year?
That was 1981.
Wow.
We borrowed an SBA loan at 18%. So
18%.
Anybody that's afraid of 4, 5, 6% interest, we did it at 18%.
So I want to ask you this question. Yeah. Like, what is the worst financial, the worst it was ever for you financially?
The worst that was ever?
That you had to face. Like, it was, you were sitting on the cliff going, oh, I don't know, are we going to make it?
So I can't give you the exact date, but I can tell you it was Shawmut First Bank.
88, 89, they went under.
Somewhere around 87, 88.
Yeah, that was the credit crisis on Main Street.
It was the first kind of online type ordering. I don't even know if it was online, but it was ordering NFL gear from this company that was coming into the Berkshires. So it was a guy out of the South who said he was going to open up a warehouse in the Berkshires. And we had to outfit it with a 2-story shelving mezzanine and some other related equipment. Hahn Furniture was coming in to do the furniture. IBM was coming in to do all the computers. And it was backed by a letter of credit out of Sun National Bank in Florida.
Okay. SunTrust, Sun National Bank, yeah, something like that.
It was all a scam. We installed all the equipment and never got a dime. So now we're talking a fairly small company, 76 to 81.
Your company?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how big was this?
About a $280,000 expense with no revenue. Boom.
Whoa.
No equipment, no payroll, no anything. It was just a hit to the bottom line.
I can hear it in your voice.
Oh, yeah.
You're like reliving.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So a total experience about how do you check credit? How do you make sure the letter wasn't a real letter? So it was a real scam that we got kind of caught up in. And then how do you negotiate with banks and lawyers and people when you know you have a business that's going to make it, but you've got this trough that you've got to get out of? And we did.
And how'd you do it?
Just brute force and making it happen. Just entrepreneurial spirit and drive. We're not going to let this thing go down.
Yeah.
It did happen to be, 81, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those were all good years economically. So we hit the curve at the right time for that unfortunate situation. Yeah. Had we hit that in 89, could have been a whole different story.
Right, because those banks were going to call those loans.
Yeah.
Because when Fleet came in after the credit that on Main Street. Yeah. What about 2008? I mean, that credit crisis, did that?
So what happens in those, now that we've diversified the business, is we just shift from bigger capital items to renting equipment and servicing equipment. So now we've got a lot more insulary because of, in the early days, we didn't have lift trucks. All we did was shelving, rack.
Yeah, so you didn't have a service business with revenue.
Didn't have an annuity that was coming in every month.
Exactly. So how did you go from selling boxes, selling this, selling that, to going, hey, let's buy forklifts? Because that's huge overhead.
So because you can,
Capital, right?
Things happen and you go because you can, right?
Yeah.
So
I like that. Because you can. Yeah.
So we were selling and installing shelving, rack, benches, stools.
Yep.
Then they became 2-level storage units and sometimes 3 pick modules.
Yeah.
And then rack that went up higher and trucks we had to unload. So we were renting lift trucks. But keep in mind, back in the day, in the early 80s, no cell phone communication on the weekends to emergency service. Maybe they answered, maybe they didn't. So we rented a forklift, but if it broke down on Saturday and we were supposed to get this job done by a Monday morning startup for the customer,
you're screwed.
We were in trouble.
Yeah.
So we hired a mechanic. We bought a fork truck and hired a mechanic. Well, during the week, when we weren't doing a job over the weekend, we had extra mechanic time. So the Kimball companies, who originally...
Kimball brothers.
Yeah, the Kimball brothers, Dave and Rick, they originally were in Feeding Hills in chicken coops. And they had a couple of old fork trucks. I think he might have been in the Rotary or something. We got connected somehow. And, hey, we need our fork truck service. I said, perfect, we got a guy. And we send them out on a Tuesday to fix the fork truck, and then on a Thursday to fix it again. And then there were other people that needed forklifts fixed. So we started fixing forklifts more than our own. I was like, hey, and then we bought another forklift and had more requirements. And finally we said, you know what, we could sell these to our customers if somebody wants a new forklift. So we took on some lines of, I want to say an open line of lift trucks, so almost anybody could sell it.
Right.
But then in 1986, we actually were growing it to a point where we took on the Crown lift truck line, which is 5th largest in the world.
Yep.
Really electric based and really progressive.
How many forklifts today do you think you have?
How many forklifts do I have?
Servicing that
well, we have hundreds in our fleet. So we literally have hundreds that we own, that we rent and or have used available.
Yeah.
And we service over 6,000 regularly just in this area.
There's an annuity.
Yeah. So
that's good.
I mean, our customers, not to miss any of them, but our customers include Home Depot, Lowe's, Costco, Amazon, Whole Foods, Dollar Tree, Big Y, Savage. It just goes on and on, the list of customers that we have.
And I'm always amazed. We're here in Western Mass, right? And I say to people, I tell people in my industry that I have city envy. Guys in my business that are in Chicago, LA, Manhattan, Dallas, San Antonio, and yet they're struggling.
Yeah.
And I say, Springfield, Mass, you got less than a million people, right, in the greater Springfield area.
And the latest in Springfield, so we did the MGM project, their warehouse. People go, what do you mean their warehouse? Well,
they got to store.
They have to store everything that fills their casino, whether it's the linens or the, the goods that they sell or whatever. And then we just did CRRC, so the rail.
Sign a rail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done that, and
big.
we just continue to, in this area, take care of the region. But
Right.
Connecticut is also 65% of our business.
So was the mechanic your first employee?
One of, after mom, dad, and myself,
Right.
and then a secretary.
Yeah.
So Helen Anderson, who worked with us for years.
Yeah.
And then mechanic has been there 38 years-ish.
Nice.
Still there.
Yeah.
Still
and you're
there.
up to how many
He's
employees
a trainer. We're gonna go over 100 pretty quick.
Yeah.
We're like right getting there.
Right on
yeah.
the edge there.
Yeah, we're trying to obviously be lean and do it with, the reasonable amount of employees. But right now the demand is insane.
Right.
It's pretty crazy.
So
but finding talent is
horrendous.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. So let's just give everybody kind of a scope of the number of companies that you have right now. So it's Maybury,
Associates Inc.,
right?
which has a DBA under the Maybury Material Handling and Atlantic Handling.
So those are the ones that do all the building of the.
Mm-hmm. Atlantic's in our New Jersey location.
Yeah.
So,
Right. So I mean, when you're, I have a picture now when you say Amazon of their warehouse, so people can get an idea how big that is. So you
Yeah.
went from one shelf to two shelves, but Amazon is like what, 40 shelves tall or something? I mean, crazy,
yeah,
right?
They're big. Those outfits are big. We don't always do the rack and conveyors and the big build the box.
Yeah.
Because they have national affiliations.
Mhm.
But once they get here,
They need
the lift
someone to-
trucks, the conveyors,
Yeah,
the
they need somebody to
service,
service
and the
it all.
ancillary things. And to tell you the truth, the ancillary out of the big box,
Is better.
it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, big without huge risk either. Without
Exactly.
building a 1 million square foot distribution facility.
Yeah.
It's a lot of horsepower.
All right, and the other companies are
The real estate and ancillary real estate.
Yeah.
So JSTW, which
Yeah.
is John, Sandy, Tom, William. So it's kind of, you always pick
say that
different
again.
things
You kind of remember John,
Yeah, yeah.
Sandy, Tom, William.
Yeah, it's the family. So,
Uh-huh.
I'm really lucky. So from my parents being involved, now my wife is involved
Yeah.
and one of my sons is involved. Both of them worked there at one point.
Yeah.
One of them now is a doctor instead, which that's awesome. Wish
Don't you need a doctor on call?
you will,
full
especially
time?
he's a physical therapist. So
I was going to say.
yeah, we're getting to the
Are you
point
going to
where
build out
after you do all your
You know what,
workouts
you gotta-
and your rowing.
Have
and
you been down to Secure Energy? Because you're going to have to put in a gym like Kevin did.
Yeah,
down
we have
there,
a
right?
gym.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, we have.
There it is.
Yeah.
So what do you love most about this? Because, I mean, it just comes out of your pores. I mean,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. You're just oozing enthusiasm.
It's probably just the excitement of every day's a different day. Some days are really, really exciting and great.
Mhm.
Other days are just super challenging and great in a different way. So I enjoy a challenge. Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing, kind of,
Yeah.
So I enjoy a good challenge and I like to win.
Yeah.
And so whether it's a difficult challenge or a fun, positive challenge,
And how do you infuse that into 100 employees?
I hope they see that I'm kind of just an engaged, involved individual, but I'm not an overbearing, person as far as if we have issues or situations, whether it's selling something or operationally getting it done, I try to get them to tell me what do we need to do rather than just, I got all the answers, push this button, this button, this button, and they go out and it's like, come to me with some alternatives. If you need some coaching, I'll do the best I can. But in many cases, I've surrounded myself with people that are way more intelligent than me. They know how to do it better than
That's
me.
the way
So I just have to park this somewhere else.
That's the
and
way
go,
it's supposed to work.
Tell me what you think.
Yeah. Isn't that how hard was that for you to go from being the guy that could fix anything to, encouraging, inspiring, and letting
Still
other
hard.
people fail like you had to? So one of the themes in these interviews that I'm seeing is, I was talking with Attilio Cardarapoli, right? So big real estate company, buys the golf course. And the reason he played golf was he realized if he was around his kids, they would always ask him to solve the problem.
Yeah.
So he took up golf so he wouldn't be around, so they'd have to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the kind of style that you have that allows you to?
So I think you're aware of some of my other stuff. So on the outside, I work hard, play hard. So I got some toys, so it keeps me finding other things to do.
Yeah.
But I am currently the chair of Bay State Health. So for this year and next year, I'm pretty immersed
Takes a
in
lot of time.
Bay State Health, all the hospitals,
Yeah.
Health New England, the whole, and talking to Mark Kerouac regularly.
Yeah.
So that keeps me out of the office, and I've tried to block my Mondays and Fridays to not be there, so that day to day everybody can make the decisions. But my cell phone is usually on. It's off right now, but it's usually on in case something comes up and they just think they have to get in touch with me.
Right.
But I'm really trying to get the next generation. My son Will is in there now as the controller.
Yeah.
My vice president is 3 years old.
Good guy.
You know, I've got some other younger talent
Mm-hmm.
that we've been mentoring and coaching and bringing along. So I just want to see that we've got perpetuity and the availability for Will and the younger team to take it somewhere else. And I could hopefully just kind of drift off into the sunset.
Fade off into the Coast Guard?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put your Coast Guard
Yeah.
hat on. Yeah, that's great. What do you hate most about this work?
there's nothing. There
Really?
just is nothing.
Really?
I mean, anything that I dislike at all, because hate I don't, but
Right.
if there's anything I dislike, I just hire somebody else to do it. So
Brilliant.
yeah, if I'm not the accountant, you know,
Yeah.
and in some cases not the engineer,
Yeah.
although I've got some aptitude,
Yeah.
but somebody else.
Wow. That's great.
I do what I love. I like to see people succeed.
Yeah.
So I really like to help people to be successful.
Yeah. Which is absolutely great. So when you look back, I know Dad was an influence.
Yeah.
Anyone else in your life that's been a really
My
big
grandfather.
influence? Your grandfather?
Yeah.
Tell me about.
He was just a salt of the earth Englishman that came over.
This is your dad's father?
My father's father
Yeah.
worked
Came over from where?
England. He might actually have been born here. My grandmother was from Ireland. He was from England. I don't know exactly the perfect histories, but they were, new to the United States in terms of employment. They lived in Hungry Hill. They worked, in foundries or delivering coal or, doing, just the good start things. And my grandfather was always just an inspiration to be with as far as getting things done, had a great personality. And then my father obviously followed along. So family, my wife is my rock, so she keeps me from getting too far out of bounds.
Isn't it amazing how they do
Yeah,
that?
I love it because there is
Yeah.
times when she under the table and says, "Look, don't go there right now.
Yeah,
Leave that one
Sandy,
alone."
right?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome. And,
Yeah.
she really helps at work.
Yeah.
So she's the one, John Maybury's kind of, let's get this done and move on to the next one. Let's do something
Right.
else, and she's the one that will listen and talk and understand. And so,
Good team.
yeah, it works
Wow.
well.
That's a great
And then
team.
Will's the accountant, so he takes care of that for me. So, yeah.
That covers your back, right?
Oh, yeah.
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 So what would you say the greatest decision you made in your life was?
Getting married,
Anybody in particular?
Sandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. How long you been married?
She's going to hate me for not having it like that, but I'm going to say 1985 to now is
Yeah.
34 years, right? Quick
great.
math. Yeah,
That's
34
great.
years.
Greatest mistake you've ever made?
I've probably made a few. Most of them are just opening my mouth when I should have just given it the 2-second rule or waited just a little longer to think about who I was saying what to.
Yeah.
I don't have one that's like monumental that destroyed me or had me up for nights or anything. I sleep like a rock, so I'm fortunate that way. But just not pausing 2 more seconds to think about where I'm at
Great.
and who it is.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So you got these businesses, you got an incredible team, you're going off into the Coast Guard. Anything else that's captivating to you right now? What are you most excited about when you look out 1, 2, 3 years? Will coming into the business.
This could get me in trouble. Grandkids. Definitely will get me in trouble, but very much looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping.
So is there anything we can
They're
do to
both married.
stimulate that
There's
conversation?
nothing I say, Charlie, and there's nothing I'm going to do. But yeah.
Yeah, it's true. We got 3. It's a pip.
So, and I'm not rushing it because, Sandy and I were married for a little while before we had children. And my kids are married like 6 and 4 or 5 and 3 years.
Yeah.
So I'm not pushing it.
You'll
but
be too distracted.
I am hoping I'm still able to get around and do and have fun with little kids.
Yeah, you'll be too distracted with that.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and
Go for it.
these come from one of my favorite interviewers, James Lipton.
Okay.
He ran the Actors Studio.
Yeah.
If you ever saw the show Inside the Actors Studio, where he would interview, Pacino, all the great actors. So I love these questions I'm going to throw at you. What's your favorite word?
That's an interesting question. Fun is probably my favorite word.
Okay. What's your least favorite word?
Indecision.
Indecision. What turns you on?
Everything.
Everything.
My glass is always full, no matter what I'm doing.
Wow. And what turns you off?
Laziness.
Okay. What's your favorite curse word?
It's probably a bad one.
That's why they call it a curse word.
Yeah. It's probably the S or the F word, unfortunately. I don't use it very often, and you'll find it hard to hear it, but when I really have to let it rip.
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
What occupation other than yours would you absolutely love to do?
Go Kart Track Hamburger Stand Entrepreneur.
Say it again. Go Kart.
Go Kart Track Hamburger Stand Entrepreneur.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. If I had it all, I would just open up just
Go Kart Hamburger Stand.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur.
My YPO buddies know that.
Oh man, that's great. What occupation other than yours would you absolutely hate to do?
You know, I've thought about that occasionally. I don't have one that I would hate to do because I could be a doctor, I could be a dentist, I think maybe having to take something away from somebody. So whether that was, in a repossession type environment.
A repo guy.
Yeah.
How about taxes? Yeah, something like that.
Something bad.
All right, if heaven existed and you got through the door, what would you like to hear God say to you when you enter?
You did it well.
You did it well. Great. So one more question was this, what's your favorite song?
I did it my way.
I did it my way? Oh, good. So we got this jukebox here. Here's a quarter.
All right.
You're going to put the quarter in
All right.
and
Bingo.
start singing.
Oh, I can't sing it, but I did it my way.
I did it my way.
Yeah, I used to be a DJ. We missed that part.
You were?
Oh, yeah.
Did you sing when you were a
Mr.
DJ?
B's Redstone Tavern. No, but that was the last song.
Mr. B's Redstone Tavern.
I did that for 4 years. Used to be the Blue Moon.
Hamburger stands.
Pasquale's, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yep.
Last big question before we wrap up. Biggest splurge you've ever done, that you've ever spent money on. Crazy, silliest thing.
So I don't think it's crazy. Other people do, but I do own a fairly large boat that is a lot of money, and you certainly get no ROI.
How fairly large is the boat?
It's a 48-foot Viking.
48-foot
A couple
Viking.
of big fat diesels in it. And
Up on the lake?
No. It's
On the
down
ocean?
on the ocean. Yeah, it's 48 feet. It's kind of, and I go out fishing, and it costs a lot of money for gas. But that's my splurge.
Beautiful.
I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't gamble. Sorry, I'm Jim, but that's the way it works.
That's great.
That's the way I work.
All right. Well, we're taking away with that song as we go out. I've been here with John Maybury, Maybury Associates here in East Long Meadow, Mass. at Center Square Grill. This has been awesome.
Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate it.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Peace out, everybody.